Welcome everyone to our class on in-depth study. We started 3,300 years ago with the pasuk of Meitiv Carmel. We're now holding around the 1600s, a little before the 1600s. And as I said, the reason why I mention that is because my Rosh Yeshiva used to talk about, Rabbi Goldstein used to talk about a text on a text on a text on a text. Okay, what that means is that in order to understand this one pasuk, we have a lot of people who are commenting on it throughout the ages, and it's our job to see what they explain and what the subsequent generation is left to explain. Okay, again, everyone in the end, the Vilna Gaon learned the Chumash in the end of his life. What was he learning? The Chumash. He took all his learning and he saw it all in Meitav Sedeh, Meitav Karmel Shalom. Every pasuk that he meant that he read was a compact view of all his learning. Now we can't, of course, do that. I wish we could, but at least we're taking one piece and we're seeing how that information is unpacked, okay, for us. So we're up to now the Shulchan Aruch and the more specifically the Torah, and then the Shulchan Aruch. So let's just go to that little flow that I've done. I sent you this also, so you'll have it. Let's see how we did this. I call it the argument flow. Okay, so we've gotten down past the 5 different solutions to Abaya's Rumi and the Gemara. We eliminated, or we boiled them down to 2, Reb Huna and Reb Papa. And when the Rishonim handled that, we said that there were 5 different Rishonim that we're handling, or actually 6, depends on how you count it, but it doesn't really matter. Basically, we had the Rif and the Rosh, who's going to psak like the Rif, that says the halacha is like Reb Papa, that all 3 alternatives, Kesef, Shavit Kesef, and Meitav, are equal alternatives for the mazik to pay the nizak. The nizak has no say in what he wants. The mazik can give either one of those 3 at his will. The Rabbeinu Tam, who's not going to enter into this halak situation, because at least on our page, on Tess, he holds like Rav Huna, and the way he learns Peshat is that you must give Kesef and Meitav Kark, or those 2 opportunities or alternatives you do have, and only if you don't have Kesef and Meitav Karka can you give Metaltalin. So that was his position. The Rosh said that the halach is like the Rif against the Rabbeinu Tam and brought his proofs. When it came to the Tur, the son of the Rosh, at this point we had machlokas. The Bach and the Drisha wanted to say the Tur is just following the Rosh, which means you have an equal alternative to give all 3 of the variables, Kesef, Shavit Kesef, and Meitav. And here we came to the Chiddush of the Beis Yosef, and the Levush follows him also. But the Chiddush of the Beis Yosef is to read the Tur to say that Meitav is the last alternative of the mazik. That means if the nizak wants metaltalin or kesef, he can get it, and the mazik can't give meitav kar. Now that was a big surprise, and part of our job is finding out where's the source of that. The Beis Yosef said that the Tur disagreed with his father, and he imported the precedent of Kesef and Metaltalin over Meitav Karka from the case of Malva. That's the source that he found to create that din. The Levush just added that the Tur is the Rambam, and we said the Beis Yosef did not say the Tur is the Rambam. He didn't mention the Rambam at all. The Rambam may have affected his decision, but he did not mention him specifically. So when it came to the Shulchan Aruch, we have again the same basic problem, which is, does the Shulchan Aruch now hold like the Rush and the Rif, that all three are equal, or does he switch his opinion to this new position where Meitav is the last alternative? So there we had the Smahu, the Drisha, who takes the Shulchan Aruch and reads it as if it's the Rush. All three things are equal. And then we have the Shach that is going to now disagree with the Sma and tell us that anyone who tries to read both the Torah and the Shulchan Aruch like the Rush is sorely mistaken. And the real truth is that Meitav is the worst alternative, and that's the Rambam, and that's the Torah, and that's the Shulchan Aruch. So we're involved in this Shach, who is going to take the Shulchan Aruch. Literally, we said that the Shulchan Aruch quotes almost verbatim every single word of the Rambam. And the surprise here is that Metaltalin comes out to be less than Kesef and Sheli Kesef. So that's a surprise. So here's another one of these colorful charts. I don't want to confuse at all. But basically, we're down to, what does the Torah hold? Okay, the Beis Yosef says that Meitav is the last alternative. If the Nizak wants Kesef or Metaltalin, he can demand it of the Mazik. And the Bach says that no, Meitav is an equal alternative. So that really, what it gets down to is the position of Meitav. Is it an equal alternative to Kesef and Metaltalin, or is it a worse alternative? So the Sma in the Shulchan Aruch reads the Shulchan Aruch against what the Beis Yosef said in the Torah, and he makes it again, all three alternatives are equal, and the Shach now is going to come and disagree with the Shach and remove all his proofs. So here we have another nice little chart here. See here in this chart, I just put here that the fact up to this point we said that all three alternatives were equal according to Rashi, Rif, Rush, everybody, or the Tosfos held that Metaltalin was the worst because that was Rav Huna. So where do we get this new idea to make Karka the worst? Never saw that. So the Beis Yosef imports that din from Balchov. We're going to have to investigate that. Where does he get it from? How does it work? Those are all the finer details of the explanation. He says that in the Balchov we know that you can pay kesef if the Malva wants money instead of Meitav, then the Lova must give it to him. And he says that's because since he gave Kesef, I mean that's the Rush says. The Rush says since he gave Kesef, he can get Kesef back, but the Beis Yosef says no deal. According to the Tur, that Svara doesn't hold, and we can import Balchov into Nezikin and also make Karka the last alternative. Okay. There's a lot to talk about here, and as we go through the Shach, we'll be coming back to this very essential analogy, and as we go through the people who are going to now comment on this piece, we're going to go through that very important analogy. But that's basically where we're holding. To say it in a few words, Meitav turns out to be the worst alternative according to the Beis Yosef, and the people disagree with that. And the Shach is now going to prove that it really is true. The Rambam, the Tur, agree with the Beis Yosef that Meitav is the worst alternative. So that's our summary. Now we have to get to the text. Now what I did here is I also did a lot of work here. I'm not going to go through the whole chart, but basically it's very good to know who the great rabbis are, because you have to know who's commenting on who. So I made this little chart with the help, I told you, Wikipedia. I looked up the dates, and It's very, very helpful. We're holding now in the, first of all, the Rush. Well, we read the Rush. He's a Rishon, so 1250 to 1325. Then his son, the Tur, comes on the Tur Shulchan Aruch. About the same period of time. We're going to have the Maggid Mishnah, who writes on the Rambam, and we're going to have to analyze what he says in Rambam, because that will impact whether the Tur, who is saying something like the Rambam, is holding like the Rambam or not. And then, of course, we had our Nemuki Yosef, who was the one that was who said very clearly that the Rambam held that Meitav was the worst alternative. He's the only one that we have of the Rishonim that I saw that said that clearly, although the Shach says that there are other people that do say that. Okay, we're going to have to see how he learned that. That was our discussion last week. Okay, the Beis Yosef comes, you could see it's 300, it's almost 100 years after the Tur. The Tur really was established as the Shulchan Aruch of the day, and after Girish Svad, the Beis Yosef said we have to make a clearer halacha. The Tur left a lot of flexibility in the halacha. A lot tells you different Rishonim. He doesn't come to a single Pesach. And the Beis Yosef, when he wrote the Shulchan Aruch, after Girish Svad, he said we need a much clearer definition. So he took the Rush, Rif, and Rambam, generally went according to the majority, generally, and he wrote a new Shulchan Aruch. Okay.
He wrote the Pirush on the Torah first, I believe.
First he wrote the Beis Yosef, which is the Pirush on the Torah, and then he wrote his own Shulchan Aruch. Okay. Yosef Kar is his name, so he wrote Beit Yosef on the Torah, and then I repeated him because he's going to have two different guys, as one, as you said, commenting on the Torah, and the other one writing his own Shulchan Aruch. So I just repeated him again, just to make it clear who are the commentaries on who's talking on whom. So when it came to the Tur, we have this interesting period in Jewish history in Poland, which I didn't really research so much, but it seems it was a very fruitful time in Jewish history, and especially in the halacha. And we see that the Lavush, the Drisha, the Ramah, the Bach, the Sma, and the Shach really lived in that general period of time. You can see all their dates around 1530, 1561, 1579. Yeah. The Truma writes on the Sefer Truma. The Sefer Truma was a Rishon. Let's see, where's the Sefer Truma? Here. This is a Rishon, all the way up here. So the Gedulei, he's a late, in this Achronim on the Shulchan Aruch, he's late, but the Shach is going to quote him. Okay, so he's a contemporary with the Shach. I mean, Shach is going to speak about him. So that was a very, very, this period of time in Poland was very, very filled with Talmidei Chachamim of a very high caliber, and they comment both on the Tur and on the new person on the block, the Shulchan Aruch. Okay, and it's there. That's exactly what we're involved here in. What did the Tur mean? Is he really holding like that all three alternatives are equal, or that Meitav is worse? That's one problem they have. And then that's going to have ramifications in the Shulchan Aruch. What did he mean? Did he go away from his Peshat in the Tur, or did he stay with it? So that's really the essence of this very, very intense discussion, and we're trying to understand the Shach, who I would say the Baal HaSoda. He's tremendously powerful, and he brings a lot of sources to prove his point, and he's going to be the center of focus for a lot of that comes after he leaves the scene in 1614. We're going to have the Gro, we're going to have all the great Rosh Hashivas of the last generation, all involved in this in the shach, either for him against him. It's going to be what's going on, and then there'll be other variations like Rev Ruvain, and we'll have to get involved in those variations too in our study. But okay, that's our broad overview. The problem here is how to read the Shulchan Aruch, the Torah and the Shulchan Aruch. Is Meitav the last alternative or not? And where do you get it from is the other question. If you do say it's the last alternative, so where do you get such a thing from? So we said that the Beis Yosef brought it in from the Baal Chov. Also, we saw Muki Yosef also does that. So we have to see what the Shach is going to do now. Okay, so let's go to the Shach and where we're holding in him. Now the Shach is a brilliant, I don't know what words to say, but a brilliant exposition, a Torah example par excellence of how to write a piece of Torah, which means you present the position that you're going to attack, and you attack that position by bringing proof that position is wrong. So I tried to spend a little more time on him because it's so essential. As I told you, the people after are going to take one of these pieces or a few of these pieces of the Shach and remove them. And even ourselves, we saw that some of the pieces were not what we read simply. So we have to take a little time on him, carefully see what he did, and then we'll be able to be, Bezat Hashem, more intelligently involved in why people will agree or disagree with him. Okay, so what the Shach, as we said, is going to defend the Beis Yosef's idea that the Tur and the Rambam hold that the din is that the Nizak does not have to accept Meitav. Meitav is the worst alternative. So in other words, the Mazik has to give you either Kesef or Shaveh Kesef if he has them, and only if he doesn't have them, give Meitav, which is, of course, as we said, a revolutionary concept, but that's what the Shach is going to say is the Rambam and the Tur. And that's against the Sma. The Sma, who's also the Drisha, is going to say really even the Shulchan Aruch holds all three alternatives are equal. And the way he's going to do that is to say that the Mazik wasn't around. And the only reason why the Shulchan Aruch is talking about that you collect metatolin first and then you do Meitav Karka is only because the Beis Din has to figure out which one of the three the Mazik would have given. So he would have given metaltalin because most people like the metaltalin over their karka. So the Beis Din does it too. But it's not the pure din. It just happens to be a din when the Beis Din gets involved because the mazik's not around. That's what the Sma says, Bekitzer. And he keeps the world. We said there's the Pernicus world and the post-Pernicus world. I mean, the world without a Chiddush and the world with a Chiddush. So the Sma pushes everybody back into the world that we've always come to love, which is all three turners are equal. And he has to do that by even taking the words of the Shulchan Aruch and creating a Beis Din case where the mazik's not around. But that's as far as he will go in order to keep the old world or the standard world system going. Now, Shach is going to say he's totally wrong. Okay, and he's going to say, and of course the Sma says what I'm saying is against the Beis Yosef, the Yerushan. They all want to say that the Tur is saying that Meitav is the last alternative, and the Sma says no deal. You didn't read the Tur, and even the Shulchan Aruch is really making all three things equal. So there, with that introduction, really, it all gets down to is Meitav the worst alternative or not. That's really what it comes down to. So the Shach is going to say, I'm going to show you that Meitav Karka is the worst alternative, has nothing to do with the Mazik being around, not being around. That's the Pashut Halacha. That's going to be his work. That's his QED. That's what he wants to prove. Now, he states it as a memra, using the Ramchal. He makes a memra that the Rambam, the Mechaber, and is like the issue, also the Tur, all of them hold this position that Meitav is the last alternative. Now, the Sma, who tried to push to making all three alternatives equal, is now going to be being attacked. Okay, so the first thing the first raya, and that's why I wrote raya 1, Neged Hasma, was the Nemuki Yosef. And Nemuki Yosef did say when it came to the Rambam, Islay Karko Metaltalin, Kafinin Lay Liten Metaltalin. If he has Karka Metaltalin, we force him to give Metaltalin. So there it goes. Meitav is the worst alternative. Metaltalin turns out to be better, according to the Rambam. Once we have the Rambam in place, then we'll say that's the Tur and that's the Shulchan Aruch. That's raya number 1 from the Nemuki Yosef. And that's, as I said, that's pretty clear. He does say that in the Rambam. He doesn't. That's not reading anything into it. It happens to say it. I could click to him, but we won't go into that. Okay. Now, the second raya that he has against the Sma is that the simple words of the Rambam say that. He says, "Keshebeistin niskakin, govin mi hatalton techila." That's the words of the Rambam. So the second raya is a mitzad lashon. That the simple meaning of the words say that there's a preference of metalton over meitav. And it's v'hadin hu kach ve'eno talabratzan hamazik o a nizak. That's a chiddush. It has nothing to do with what the mazik or the nizak wants. The shachals that is the din. We just, once we say that the mazik is chayev, we ask him what he has. If he has all three, we tell him that he has to give kesef or metaltalin and not the best of his land, even if he wants it. Okay, again, I think that the mazik could take what he wants, the nizak can take what he wants, but we're talking about al pidin, what he's supposed to give. Okay, so the second raya was not mitam Kabbalah. The first one was mitam Kabbalah. There's a mitzad.
Right at the Rambam. The second one is not a second raya. It's just a raya that the Rambam is saying what the Shach is saying. The Rambam is saying.
Well, when the reason why I say it's a raya. The reason why I say it's a raya, it's called a raya mitzad halashon. In other words, the language does say that. I mean, a simple meaning. In other words, the pashtus for the language is the Beis Din collects from metaltalin first, right? So that's why I say it's a raya. It's a raya that's the Rambam. And in other words,
it's the right the Rambam. And from the fact that he's saying that Beis Din is kakin government metaltalin tchil, it's a right at the Rambam when he said before that he is like karko metaltalin kafinin le litin le metaltalin. So the Shach is backing up the lashon of the Rambam with another place that the Rambam says you go to metaltalin first. That the Rambam agrees that metaltalin comes before meitav.
Okay, let's be very clear about this. This proof came from the Nemuki Yosef.
Two proof.
Yes, that's what I want to say.
Yeah, but the Nemuki Yosef is quoting the Rambam.
No, not exactly. He does not quote the Rambam. We can look at this. Why did I do that? That's right. There, Nemuki Yosef.
I got it right there, right?
Oh, no, I missed it. Ay. Oh, boy. I thought everything was linked. Some of my links are not working. The Nemuki Yosef. What? Okay. Well, we have to, there's so much work here. Let's go to it here. And let's back up a little. I'll do it. A lot of times I change the formatting and it destroys the links. Well, it shouldn't be here. It should be after. That is true. That's Rach, the Rambam, the Rosh, Nemuki Yosef's after them. I hope I put them in the right place. No, I may not have put them here. Oh boy. Okay. Let's do this trick. Alt, Control F, and we'll go Hebrew. Okay. Yosef. Oops. Poor guy. There we go. Okay. Let's see the Yosef. Here he is. Now, this is Nemuki Yosef, and it's in Baba Kama, and he says that the Ramah, okay, that's the Ramah. We don't want the Ramah. No, it's here he is. Here's the Nemuki. Here's the next Nemuki Yosef. Here's a Nemuki Yosef in Baba Basra. Okay? In Baba Basra, this is Ula Inyan Nazikin. This is what the Nemuki Yosef says. Halo harbe mefortion the matzi lemiten le afilu karka afilu hazuze. That's the equivalent svara, right? Ubabache karka. I mean, it is the metav who the Rahmana aval, and here it is. Midivrei harambam nira. You see, from the words of the Rambam, it appears the kaven the isle metaltalin yehivle, that if you have karka and metaltalin, you must give metaltalin before karka.
Okay, so how do you see that in the Rambam?
Oh, because it says kesha based in nizakin, kesha based in nizakin. That's what the. Let me just get all these things here.
So my point is that the Shach has bring down the Nemuki Yosef.
Yes.
And then who is saying it's near from the Rambam that metaltalin comes first.
Right.
And then it's bringing down another Rambam, or seemingly it's the same Rambam, that the Nemuki Yosef sees that it's up to Bezdin to go and collect first from metaltalin, which indicates that metaltalin comes first.
Well, hold on. Can we just go? Can we go in order here, just so we'll be together?
Yeah.
He says, "V'chein metzati ben Nemuki Yosef." That's this raya, correct? That metaltalin's before me. I saw that, and we just saw that. And this is a quote of Nemuki Yosef that the Divrei Rambam holds, and he says Venera. He doesn't say it. He says it appears to me that the Rambam holds, right? Now, then the Shach comes and he says V'chein mashma vadai pashut Divrei Rambam. Not only did the Nemuki Yosef say it, but that's the simple words, because the Rambam said, quote, Kesha based in Iskakin Gova Me'ataltun Techila. So that's why.
Yosef, how did the Nemuki Yosef know that?
He didn't say.
He didn't say. Okay.
He just said all the Nemuki said, and
it's two different proofs. One of them is the Nemuki Yosef saying that he knows it from the Rambam. I see where he put those two proofs. Okay, I was just wondering why he put those two proofs. And one of them is the Shach himself bringing another proof from the Rambam that it's that metaltalin comes first.
Right, and the Shach is a very clever, I must say, a very clever person, because when the Nemuki Yosef said, he said, "V'chein nira midivrei harambam." And if you look at what the Shach quoted, he doesn't quote the. Oh yes, he does. I'm sorry. That's wrong. Nemuki Yosef meforish kasav lahedja. He doesn't say v'chein nira. Look at that. Oh, excuse me. Shemidam nirin. He does say it. I'm sorry. It's my fault. Nira. What does nira mean?
Nira means that it seems.
It means it seems, right? It's not like pashtus the lashon.
Well, the question is it more than mashma or is it less than mashma?
I think this is a chiddush of the Nemuki Yosef to say this in the Rambam. Why he says it, we don't know here. Okay. But the Shach is saying he definitely has the simple meaning of the Rambam as a proof. Okay. In other words, when you have a text, you can read it in the pashtus, or you can dochek it, right?
Right, right.
So he says nira. We don't know why. He says nira. In other words, nira. Why didn't he say nira? Why didn't he say pashtus for Divrei Rambam? Right?
Right.
Because he is also aware that you could read the Rambam differently.
Right.
And that's why he says nira. Right? And other people are going to take this Rambam and going to say, like we just saw that, the mazik's not around. There'll be other solutions to this Rambam. Other very exciting solutions too, by the way. This Rambam is a critical Rambam. We're going to look at the Parish Mishnayos. I'd like you to do that on your, because we won't get to it. But look at the Parish, what he says, Parish Mishnayos on Yudal. We're going to get to it eventually, but it's very, very interesting. This opens up a very, very serious question also on how to learn Rambam and Shulchan Aruch, which is, do you learn them, what they mean is what they say, or do you learn them in context of the Gemara? And that's going to be changing how you understand them. If you say that the Rambam is continuing his understanding of the Gemara, so you'll read the Rambam one way, and if you can say no, he's writing a code, as he said, just read me and the Chumash, and that's all you need. Therefore, everything he says is what he means. You can't say, well, he's talking in context. So that's a very, very essential difference in what people learn Shulchan Aruch, and it was a big fight also, by the way, and how to learn the Rambam, how to learn the Shulchan Aruch. You'll see this. Rev Ruvain, by the way, says, he's a very big advocate of reading things in context. Okay, of the Gemara, which is the standard way of understanding, but other people, are not so. Anyway, here, the Nemuki Yosef does say that this is what the Rambam means, and the Shach, and that's why I said Raya too, that's what we call Raya Mitzad Kabbalah, right? In the Ramchal, we said that one of the ways you bring a Raya is because a Raya Mitzad Kabbalah, someone who is an accepted authority said it. Okay, so the Shach says, the Nemuki Yosef is an accepted authority, and he said it. So that's one Raya Mitzad Kabbalah. Then there's a Raya Mitzad Lashon, which is a Muskal Rishon. It's a Raya Mitzad Teva. Why do I mean Raya Mitzad Teva? Because that's what the words mean. Okay, the simple meaning words. Hashem put his hand in Mitzrayim. He has a hand. Okay, that's the simple word. That's also a raya. If you want to say Hashem doesn't have a hand, so you have to explain that it's a mashal, and and we get the Rambam and all these wonderful correct interpretations. But there is a strength to say that what the words mean what they say. So the Shach says not only did the Nemuki Yosef was he correct in his evaluation, but if you read the Rambam simply without any dregs, that's what the Rambam says. Okay? So that's another form. That's why it's called Raya 2. Then he brings Raya 3. Okay? Raya 3 is this of Yasamim. We'll just go over it very quickly. Va'od Kasava Rambam, Achar Kach, the next in the Rambam writes, Im meis v'haniach metaltalin v'karka. There's that two variables, right? Kesev yet. Very interesting. The Rambam doesn't talk of Kesev. That'll be people now making the equation between Kesev and metaltalin. But anyway, between metaltalin and Kesev, metaltalin and karka, he says, if the mazik dies, then we're gova min hayasamim bikarka. Right now, and also the Torah says the same thing. That if the mazik dies and he leaves property to his to the orphans, then the nizak comes and collects from the orphans from karka. Now, is that a proof or stira to the sma? Because he says, if it's true that when the mazik's not around, the Beis Din is supposed to figure out what Mastama would want, and that's metaltalin. So how come when this mazik's not around, he's dead, the Beis Din all of a sudden doesn't say, give metaltalin. It says give karka. And he says, Ve'eich gora koach hayisamin min ha-mazik atzma. I mean, how would they do such a thing? So I hope you appreciate what you said over here. The Sma wanted to say the mazik was not around, and the Beis Din has to figure out what mazik would have given. He would have given metaltalin. Well, both the Rambam and the Tur have this case when the Mazik's not around, he's dead, and they don't say give metaltalin. So this whole idea is very fabricated by the Sma. That's what the Shach tells the Sma. You have a very fabricated idea. Just read the Rambam as he said and stop trying to make a kimtis in what he said, and I'll show you your kimta doesn't even work, because really, if the base that is supposed to, if the Mazik can give all, and the base then has to figure out what he would have given, here you see they don't do that. They give Karka first. So that's his third raya against the Sma. Okay. Okay. Now, again, we have to, the people in the follow iterations are going to go into each one of these and analyze them. He definitely has in black and white, he has the Nemukios of saying that for the Rambam. That he does have. As a raya mitzad lashon, which doesn't scare us, because we can always say that the Rambam's talking in context. That's what the other people say. And the third raya we said is because of Yisavim. So people are going to also try to remove this. Actually, it's a raya. I don't know. I said it's a raya neged the Sma, but okay, it's a steer to the Sma. Maybe I should have said it's a steer to the Sma. It's better. Okay, we'll get the exact lashon anyway. Okay, now he really is going to explain in this next piece why the Sma and everybody and the Bach, all these people are trying to push the Rambam into the old world understanding of the Rush, that all three are equal. And he's going to say it's all because they're prejudiced by reading the Rabbeinu Tam, the Rush, the Mordechai, and all these people. Okay? And those people say that there is no precedent of metaltalin over karka. So they take that sheet there and they push it into what the Rambam said, and they come to their conclusion, but he's going to say that's not the Rambam. That happens to be, it's true, it happens to be the Rosh, the Mordechai, and all these wonderful people, but it's not Shitas Rambam. Okay? Now, we went through all the different people over there. We went through it. I have certain question marks why he says what. We went through that already, so we're trying to go a little further down. Now, in order to create an alternative to all those people reading Rav Huna, I mean, in other words, we had Rav Papa saying all three things are, that's the Rush and the Rif and the Rashi, and that's how we understood it. And then it was Rav Huna, according to Rabbeinu Tam, that made a hierarchy, but Rav Huna put metaltalin as the last alternative. O Kesiv, O Meitav, and if you don't have both of them, only then metaltalin. So the Shach says, look, because you read the Gemara that way, you're trying to push the Rambam around. But I'll show you the Rambam didn't read the Gemara the way all those wonderful Ashkenazic people did it. He had his own shita. So where did he get it from? So here's his one essential chidushim. He says, I'm going to read the machlokes between Rav Huna and Rav Papa to end up at the din of the Rambam that Meitav Karka is the last alternative. How am I going to do that? Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you this idea of the L'chadchila bidi eved O. Of course, the standard pashtus of the Lashon O is that O Kesef or Meitav means that they're equal alternatives. But that's not how the statement is being said here. It's O Kesef L'chadchila, and if you don't have Kesef, then you give Meitav. So Kesef is greater than Meitav. Came along, Reb Nachman said, what do you do with metaltalin? That's also an alternative. That's if you don't have Kesef. So you have Kesef, then you have metaltalin, and of course, Kesef metaltalin is closer to Kesef. That's what Rav Papa said. But Meitav is the worst alternative. So there you have the Rambam. Okay, not really, not yet. That's almost the Rambam, because the Rambam, they want to say Kesef is equal to metaltalin. How are we going to make Kesef equal to metaltalin? So he tells us because the halacha in the Rambam is like Rav Papa, and Rav Papa holds Kesef is equal to metaltalin. So the beauty of this little piece, which we also discussed, but it's quite a brilliant analysis here, is to say really both Reb Papa and Huna hold that Meitav Karka is the last alternative. The machlokus between Rav Huna and Reb Papa is only the relationship of Kesef. Rav Huna says Kesef is before Metaltalin, and of course Kesef and Metaltalin are greater than Meitav, so we have a triple vertical hierarchy. And the only thing that Rev Papa argues with, he says that Kesef is equal to Metaltalin, but he agrees that Bar Mikarka, Karka is the worst. So since the halacha is like Rev Papa, we have Kesef is equal to Metaltalin, and Karka is the worst. There we go. How's that for some brilliant magic of the text? Are you with me on that? Was that?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So over that again, just he's saying that.
He's saying that Rev Huna and Rev Papa are only arguing about the relationship of Kesef to Metaltalin. In other words, they all hold that Karka is the last alternative.
Right, so the question is whether Kesef comes before Metaltalin?
Or whether it's equal to Metaltalin. Rev Papa holds Kesef is equal to Metaltalin, and Rev Huna holds Kesef is greater than Metaltalin. How do you get that in Rev Huna? Well, there he is.
That's the O. The O.
Exactly. Said, and my phrase is, my catchphrase is, the Shach will tell you, I'm not a magician, I'm a logician. That's what's my logic? Just make the unequal O. O Kesef, l'chatchila, and if you don't have Kesef, then you have to give Meitav, correct? So Kesef is greater than Meitav. Came along Merek Nachman and said, but wait a minute, there's a third opinion. What do you do with Subin, right? Metaltalin.
Right.
He says, oh, that you don't have Kesef. So there it is. Kesef, if you don't have Kesef, then you give Metaltalin, right? And if you don't have Kesef and Metaltalin, then Meitav is on the ground floor. That is Rev Huna, right? So where do you get the Rambam? Very simple. But Rev Papa only agrees on one point with Rev Huna. And that's to say that Kesef is equal to Metaltalin. So he agrees that Karka is on the ground floor. He just equates Kesef and Metaltalin together.
Right.
Okay? Because he, and what's, I mean, if you need a right, because he says that Metaltalin, if you don't sell it here, it says, he said, call mile meitavhu, because if you don't sell it here, you don't sell it there. So that means it's equal to Kesef. Bar mi meitav, bar mi karka. Karka is a very poor second place.
Right.
You have to give meitav. So that is, as I said, the logician, he's not a magician, but it sure looks like magic when, if he, so he took the Gemara that everybody's reading rather simply, that Rav Papa holds all three alternatives are equal, and that Metaltalin is the worst, and he just showed you how to read the Gemara to say that really Rav Papa, everybody agrees, Rav Papa, Rav Huna, that Meitav is the worst, and they're only arguing between Metaltalin. That's what he did. Okay. Now, to do a thing like that, I mean, and he ends up with the Rambam in the Pashtus that way. That the first thing you do is you collect from Metaltalin, and then the last thing is Meitav. Okay, the Rambam didn't talk about Kesef, but they're going to put Kesef and Metaltalin together, and he's going to show that to us later too. But that was some brilliant piece of work, I must say. But that's what he did. Now, and as I said also, it's this. Some people, I could tell you, say, I don't know what he's talking about. And the truth is, it took me a long time to make sense of this also. It's not very simple. I mean, you know, to come to an unequal O is not in our normal set of understanding what an O is. Okay? So that was pretty creative thinking, but he did it. Okay, now, if it was only this way of learning Gemara, he wouldn't feel so strong. So he says, I'm a magician, and that's my logic, but I have to prove it from Arai Mitzad Kabbalah, because I agree it's not what the other Rishonim are saying, and it's a big Kiddush, but now I'm going to show you that other people actually learn this way. In Rev Huna, that Kesef has a priority. That's Kesef l'chatchila, and Meitav is only b'di'evet. I'll show you that. So that's pretty good. He needs it because it's definitely not the pashtus of the language, and that's what he's going to do in the next series of proofs here. Okay, so I teretz to all the people that say, come on, these are the Gemaras and they're the only two possibilities, and you can't say that the Rambam's learning that Meitav is the last alternative. He says, no, I will show you how it is done. And the Rambam's an independent thinker, and he thinks differently. Now I have to bring you proofs that that actually is a position. Okay, so that's what he's doing now. So he quotes, and this was the exciting point that we did, actually you brought it up and we did twice for 2 weeks in a row. It was very, very exciting. He quotes the Rabbeinu Hananel on our page, and the Rabbeinu Hananel says, Rav Huna, you learned that in Malva, Mikan Shaminin Delo Misalkin Labalcho Ba'ara Elahecha Dekam Le Delezuze Lemifremine. The Rach says, from Rav Huna, you learn the case of Malva. That what? That if the Malva has Kesef and Karka, he must give Kesef. So the Shach says, wait a minute. If I'm going to learn that in the case of the Malva, Meitav is on the bottom of the list, you have Kesef first, and then where did he get that from? Where did he get it from? Was it magic? He says, you can't explain it. Because it's, to you, the way you're learning the Gemara, in the Kesef is an equal O, right? O Kesef O Meitav. That's how you guys are learning the Gemara, correct? O Kesef O Meitav. So how can the Rach say that we're going to learn that in Malva, it's Kesef first and Meitav second? Only when you don't have Kesef you give Meitav. Gentlemen, how is the Rabbeinu Hananel, how is he going to learn that? So me, you see, says the Shach, the Rabbeinu Hananel is doing exactly what I'm telling you. He's learning a unequal O, a l'chatchila b'diavad O. When Rav Huna said, O Kesef or Meitav, he meant Kesef l'chatchila. They don't have Kesef, then Meitav. And that we can then move to the case of Balchov. Also Balchov, Kesef is first and Meitav second. Okay, you're dealing, I tell you, you're dealing, that's my phrase recently. He's not a magician, he's a logician. He's saying, look, can you solve it differently? This is what the Rabbeinu Hananel does. Now, you very rightfully said, but let's look at Rabbeinu Hananel, right? And it turns out that you don't have to read Rabbeinu Hananel this way. Okay? You can read Rabbeinu Hananel that it's true that in Nezikin, Kesef is equal to Meitav, right? O Kesef o Meitav, an equal or, right? Equal or, O Kesef o Meitav. But Rabbeinu Hananel is saying, in Malva, where we don't have the din of Meitav,
then you have to give
Kesef first.
Right.
Because, in other words, excuse me. Yes.
Yeah, because that's
exactly. That's right. So exactly. In other words, the Chiddush of Rav Huna was to make Meitav equal to Kesef. Really, Balchov or everybody will hold that Kesef is better than land, right? But it came that in Rav Huna said that land is equal to Kesef. But that was a Chiddush in Nezikin.
Right.
So we that's how we reread. That's how we understood the Rabbeinu Hananel differently than the Rach. Okay.
Right.
However, when you deal with big people, you have to be careful because they say you can disagree with Tosfos, but you're a fool if you do. Which really means you are allowed to disagree with anyone and read things differently, but you have to understand these people who write like this are extremely sharp, and they wouldn't make a simple error. Okay, so he must be, if I was in his shiur and I raised my hand and I said, but wait a minute, I could read Rabbeinu Hananel differently, he would probably in less than a split second, send me, with my head down to the back room. But okay, be that as it may, the way that we learn is, and I brought a beautiful araya from the Reb Melsa, who says, although it's not kedai with the shach, limit ani tzarich. That means 2 and 2 has to be 4. I don't care how great it is at Moshe Rabbeinu. I can say, look, it doesn't add up. Then you'll explain to me how it adds up. Fine. But you always have to, and I always say, bring your head to the base midrash. If 2 and 2 is not equal 4, you raise your head and you say, wait, 2 and 2 doesn't equal 4, right? You're not mukhrach in the Rabbeinu Hananel. So now you're going to have to answer me, fine. And that'll be, then we'll develop a debate or issue between 2 different points. But you can't be quiet and say just because he said it, he said it. It has to make sense, okay? Right. And we'll see other people are also, this is going to be a sore point for other people, not so. Baruch Hashem, you brought it up because I just swallowed what he said also. I understood his proof. Right. But you brought us back to the Baruch Hashem, the text, and you don't have to learn this way. Okay, why did he learn this way? Okay, we didn't get to that depth of that yet, okay? But that definitely is not mukhrach, okay? So his first, again, the unequal or, this is his first raya that there's unequal or. He says you cannot explain Rabbeinu Hananel's din in Baal Chov except saying that the source, which is Nezikin, was an unequal or. If the source in Nezikin is Kesef Lechatchila and only then Meitav, then Rabbi Hananel reads very nicely. The same holds, he says, from here we hear the din in Baal Chov. Okay? So, point, teretz number 1. I mean, it's really a raya. I don't know. Again, it's a raya to his teretz. That's what I wrote. In other words, his teretz of Rav Huna with the unequal or needed proof. Okay, and this is his first proof from Rabbeinu Hananel, right? Now, he's going to say Truma, which is a person of his generation who wrote on the Sefer Truma, excuse me. Yes, the Gedulei Truma writes on the Sefer Truma, which we saw is a very early Rishon. And he attacks this Rabbeinu Hananel. And he says, how did the Rabbeinu Hananel ever get the din of Baal Chov from this case? Okay? But he says that's because the Gedulei Truma, who's his contemporary, didn't understand this unequal or. If you would have understood the unequal or, you wouldn't have had any problems. Okay? Besides, that's what he says. Now, if you're not happy with that move, because it is a move with Rabbeinu Hananel, it is a raya, then I'll show you that the Rivan, my second proof, says it. Now here, let's look at the Rivan. The Rivan is an early Tosfos. Okay. And the Rivan says the following.
This is the Shach is quoting the Rivan? Or
the Shach is quoting the Rivan.
Okay.
Okay, here it goes. I'm sorry. What does 3 say?
Okay.
Okay.
So we have to see it. Okay.
Exactly. So as you said, Baruch Hashem, we have these books. I mean, wow. In my yeshiva days, the books were all over the place, you know what I mean? And you're lucky you could find the Sefer. Okay, you have more places than a Masuda, but still, where do you get such a beautiful library, Now we have everything in our fingertips, between Hebrew books and your database. Wow. Anyway, here's the Rivan. So let's read the Rivan. Please.
Okay. Umi shachayvu bezdin l'shalom l'chaverai. Somebody who is mechayev, who bezdin was mechayev him to pay to his friend. Now, the green is what you put in?
Yes, no, the green is, I emphasized it. I'm sorry. Here's the word. This is his lashon.
Okay, milvai nezik. Okay, either a loan or damages.
Now listen, now the reason why I made that green is right away he's putting Milva and Nezikin in the same ballpark.
Right.
Very important to know, okay?
Well, he's relating it back to the Misha Chayivu Bezin L'Shalom L'Chaveres.
Now he's a Rishon. This is before. This is before the Rambam, by the way. Okay, let me just get that. That's why I made this. I also don't want to get confused in the times because it's very important to. There we go. Oh, how far? Okay, this is why it's very important to know these things. Baruch Hashem. Let's just see. You looked up the Rivan.
Well,
Great.
I have the file open. You sent me the one.
Oh, excellent. Here, the Rivan is, you see, the Rambam is 1138, right? So the Rivan is a precursor of the Rambam.
He was born before the Rambam, but he's a contemporary. He's a contemporary,
okay.
Really, because the Rivan died in 1170. By the time the Rambam was well, he died when the Rambam was about 32 years old.
Okay, so now he could have seen the Rambam, not seen the Rambam. I can't answer those questions.
Right. Well,
but he is.
So.
Okay, but he did that. Read his words. Okay. Are you with me? Did I lose you?
So okay, so somebody who doesn't obligate him. No, I'm here.
Go for it. Yeah.
Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Do you hear me? Okay.
He can't force him to pay kesef. Bezdin cannot force him to pay kesef. But his first obligation is with either shava kesef, even subin. Okay,
so slowly. I also went too fast. All he's saying here is both in milva and in nezik, the person who's paying can pay with either kesef or shava kesef.
Yeah, but what's more important, he's saying, is that Bezdin cannot force him to pay with kesef.
Meaning?
He could pay with metaltalin.
Exactly. So all he's really saying is kesef and shava kesef are equal. We haven't got to our magic
right. Well,
third variable.
Not only equal, but as far as the preference goes, he's saying that the one who's paying has a preference to pay shava kesef if he so desires. He doesn't have to go and sell anything. He doesn't have to go and cash any checks. He could just give him his old suitcase and say, whatever's in here is worth what I say it's worth, and he has to take it.
Now, this is against Rabbeinu Tam, who says in Malva, you get kesef before. Oh no, excuse me. In Malva you're right to get kesef, right? And the Rush explained because you gave kesef, you have a right to get back.
Right.
So he's disagreeing with that. He's saying that even in Malva, the Lova can pay back the Malva with what he wants.
Right.
Kesef or shava kesef.
Right.
Now he's going to bring a proof.
That's the chiddush, because why are we putting the Yad HaMalva ala Tachtaina when the Malva was being so gracious and lent him money, and now he's going to get back a suitcase with old schmatas?
You're doing a mitzvah, aren't you? Okay, right. That's a chiddush. And here's his proof. Kedama. Proof.
Meitav Sadehu, Meitav In, Midiach Minulai, Vatan Yashra Bashava Kezav Afilu Subin Maskana, Call me with Yavle Metalpon, Afilu Subin Meitavu, Mizavan Bahimasa, Mizavan Masa Achriti Labanehara, Telesha Meitav, Kiechadut Patulazvina. Stop.
Let's just stop up to there, okay?
Yeah. So basically what he's doing is he's bringing in Rav Papa and Rav Huna Beit Rav Yeshua's teretz on the question of Yashiv, which they say that metaltalin is just as good as anything else because you could sell it anywhere. We always understood that teretz is only for Nizikin, and somehow the Ravan is translating that and saying it applies also to Nova.
Right. So here we see that according to the Rivan, that in Malva and in Nizikin, kesef is equal to metaltalin, right?
Right.
But now he's going to talk about the Malva. Umalva.
Well, the Milva. No. Well, he's coming to talk about Milva in a parenthetically sort of, because there's two issues here. One issue is kesef as opposed to metaltalin. The other issue is when you pay with karka, what quality of karka do you pay with?
Excellent. So let's read him.
Deacon, everybody sees that you pay with meitav.
Correct.
When you pay with land, which you could pay with land right away because land is shava kesef, theoretically, right?
Where? In where? In this...
Unless it's further.
Oh, let's read. Yeah.
I'm just going to put you on hold for 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, that's exactly the point. We're going to now get into Malva, and we're going to see why Malva is different than the Zikin. Okay, as you said, there's a significant difference because we know the pasuk said Meitav Sadehu when it comes to Nizak, and in Malva it only it doesn't say Meitav. Okay, Malva, go ahead.
I have a leak in my house, and the guy just stopped in just to tell me what the leak was.
Okay.
Oh boy. Anyway, I don't know, I have 2 leaks. Whatever. Milva, the Dainus, the Ipar Metaltalin Kol the Shava Kesef. כדכתב האש אשר התנאי שבה יוציא, ומדע כשאדם להוציא פרחה שבכלם, ואני מילה דיוד in the less like כסף, אבל ידין in this like כסף יוהב לי.
Stop. Let's go slowly on that. Now, what is he going to say?
Okay, so I went too fast. So Malva Bainis, period.
Right.
So he's just saying, parenthetically, that if you're paying back a loan with karka, you could pay with Bainis. You don't have to pay with Meitav. Now, my question is that I was about to get to is, he starts off saying that you could pay with kesef or shava kesef. He doesn't discuss land.
Yes.
His proof that he's bringing that you pay with kesef or shava kesef is from Rav Huna, Brej Rav Yishua, and Rav Papa.
No, not from both of from Rav Papa, I believe, right? Is that true?
Rav Papa and Rav Huna, Brej Rav Yishua. Right? We do Rav Papa and Rav Huna, Brej Rav Yishua.
Yes, I'm sorry. Correct. Yes. I get the 2 Rav Hunas get me. It's Rav Huna Brej Yishua you're talking about. Yes, right. That's correct.
Rav Huna, Brej Rav Yishua. Yeah, I said it too quickly. I'm sorry. But that tells us that everything is equal.
Now, before you say everything, be careful. What is his goal and what is the proof?
Well, he wants to show from there that metaltalin and kesef are equal.
Stop. Don't go any further.
Why not?
Because he doesn't go further yet.
Well, he does.
Up to this point. Up to this proof here is a proof that kesef and metaltalin are equal. He hasn't spoken about Meitav yet.
He doesn't discuss land.
Land is not in the picture. He just wants to tell you that both in Malva and Nezikin, kesef is equal to metaltalin.
Right. Now,
and he learns it from, as you said, Rav Papa, not Rav Huna, Rav Papa.
Rav Papa, right.
Now he goes to Malva.
So in Malva, if you wanted to be able to say something different than what you said before, you have to say it. If you don't say anything different, the assumption is that whatever rule you said before applies, right? And the rule you said is that you could pay with kesef, but you can't force him to pay kesef. You could even pay shava kesef, even subin. What about land? He doesn't say. So theoretically, if he had land, you could give him land also.
Maybe. Let's see what he says.
Well, all he says is bebenis.
But keep going. Beis. All he says, Malva is beinanis. Okay.
Okay. The apartment metaltalin, called the shava kesef, keksiva shasha tanei shaba yotzi, amada gashadam haitzi pachas shaba kelim, ani milu diadin de las lekesef, al diadin des lekesef yahivlei.
Which means what?
Which means what? I don't know. So he's getting like off track here because he's going into the paramatalphon called the Shava Kesef. So you see from there that anything is called has value, even Pachas B'Kalim. Now, really, the honey mili, I would do as a new idea.
Yes, I believe. Yeah. I'm with you. Go ahead.
So he's saying now it's a new thing.
Yeah, but let's first get what he said before. I don't want to skip what we get. Let's put his bays over there. What is he trying to tell us?
I don't know.
Ve'i parametaltalin. He's trying to tell us, I think, another raya that in Malva, also, the kesef is equal to shava kesef.
Right.
E parametaltalin, if we don't garris that vav, call the shava kesef, kedekasiv, ve'isha shia no she yotze achutza. You have to, the Malva has to stand outside, right? And he wants to say, and it's the darko of a man to bring out bapacho shebekalim, which means that the Malva can pay with metaltalin. The simple pasuk says the Malva can pay with metaltalin. Let's see what he says. I'm not sure, because he says hani mili. You see, so that's what you said. It's another point. What is this hani mili? The Yodin delays like kesef.
Hani mili, the Yodin delays like kesef. Is he going back on Milva? Because he really did take him. He really said at the beginning Malva Inezek, and then he says Ula Milva, which I think you correctly put in as a new subsection. Number one is a baininess. Number two is if he's paying metaltalin, he could pay with anything, which means even, he doesn't want to use the word subin for some reason, but he's saying it could even be pachash b'kalim. Number three, with milveh, even though he said before that Bezdin cannot force him to give kesef, he's quantifying that now and saying there's a condition. Condition is that he doesn't have kesef. So really he's sort of retracting a little bit. When we first read the first line, we thought that he's giving a blanket statement saying that Bezdin cannot force a loiva to pay with kesef. And now he's saying, but by halva, that's only when he doesn't have kesef. Bezdin can't force him to pay with kesef.
Okay, so iyun, we have to work a little. Let's read a little. I'm also as confused as you now. I thought I understood this, and when we slow down, I see it's not so simple. But so let's go to the end and go back. Maybe he'll. Now
he's going back to Rav Huna Naftes, not back, but he's going forward to Rav Huna Naftes. The Shani leHachamayiskin the less like Kesef. Now you can understand. Okay,
that's a shvuya. That's another point completely.
But what he's doing is he's bringing a proof, and he is understanding that when Rav Huna said I kesef eneitav, that you could apply equally to milva and to nezikin. And it's not limited only to nezikin like we thought, since it's in Bava Kama discussing nezikin, but the idea that we're answering Yashiv and it's coming to tell you that we could pay even Shava Kesef Afilu Subin, and that was a question because Rav Huna said I Kesef Emeitav, and we answered that you can even pay Subin. The answer is, yeah, you can pay Subin when you don't have Kesef. That equally applies to Milva and to Nezikin. That's the way the Raivan is understanding the Gemara there, and therefore, when he said before that for Milva also you have to have Kesef. Now, let's go back and correct something, because Gimel, where it said Kesef, we were not clear whether it's going back on Milva or going back on both.
Correct.
Maybe from the riot that he's bringing to the Gemara, it's actually going back on both. And maybe it should be like, instead of a little gimel, it should be like a number 3, which is a major subsection of what he was discussing before. So even though he said Milva Beinin, maybe that was just like parenthetical, and Days and Gimel really are going back on both.
That's what you want to say. And what is it trying to tell us? That both of them, according to Rav Huna, if you have, you see, it's a little bit confusing here. I'll tell you what's confusing. The subjects are confusing. We have three variables. The question is, which one is he talking about at any one time? Okay, but let's go slowly again. He says, "V'hani mili didin deleis le kesef." What do you mean, hani mili? In what case? All three, only two? Just spell it out. What is?
Well, hani mili means, I think hani mili would be going back on what he said. Umisha, go back to his halachas. Halachas umisha chayidu bezin l'sham chaver mil v'nezek ein yachal l'kayf v'litim l'kesef el shavak ez afilu subin. Now he's saying, now skip everything and just go to hani mili. Say hani mili, the adin looks like kesef. That makes perfect sense if you read it that way. That makes he's saying that you can't force him to give kesef as long as we know he doesn't have kesef.
Well, it doesn't make any sense.
Why not?
If he doesn't have kesef, oh, you mean he doesn't have to go out and buy? Well, what?
Right, he doesn't have to go out and sell anything. He doesn't have to sell anything. We did come across some shitas that said by Milva, or by, no, it wasn't Milva, in Taisus.
No, that was, yeah,
in the
in
case
Poel.
Of Poel, he has to go out and Poel, he has to go out and sell. He has to go out and sell his metaltal in order to get cash to pay his workers. So you see there's an idea of selling things to get cash. So what he's saying is that Bezin can't force him to pay with kesef. Hani mili if he doesn't have kesef. But if he has kesef, okay, then he has to pay with kesef.
I hear what you're saying. Now the only problem is, what does it have to do with Rav Huna?
No, Rav Huna is very good. Rav Huna is very good, because Rav Huna is saying that I kesef I meitav. Yeah, that's what he says. He says, Yashav, you could even give Shav kesef. How come I skin him, but the last like kesef? That's where you give Shav kesef. But of course, if you have kesef, you have to give kesef first. And we don't tell him, they'll tell him, we're Zaman V'Aisi the kesef, and exactly what Rav Huna is saying. So the proof from Rav Huna is exactly what he's saying. Now I'm confused because I don't remember how we went Rav Huna before.
Okay, that's always the reality. But with Rav Huna now, you're saying that you give kesef and then you give metaltalin, right?
Right, that's what he's saying.
But what about? So it's true that kesef, according to Rav Huna, is greater than metaltalin. But where does meitav fit in?
So meitav fits in when you're paying with karka.
Is that equal to metaltalin or less than metaltalin? Because remember, we have to get someone.
Very good question. I would say that it's equal to metaltalin. Or is
then we don't have the Rambam. We don't have the Rambam. In other words,
right.
all he's proved here, according to what you're learning up to this point, he's proven that kesef is greater than metaltalin.
Right.
But we don't know where meitav is in the situation.
Right. Problem is, I really want to getting very excited, but I have to stop now.
Okay. Beseda. Okay. So I sent you all the stuff. We'll go back over this.
I'm going to try to look it over.
Please look it over, and always our focus has to be what's his aim and what's his proof. What's the statement he wants to prove, and how does he do it? That's what we have to know clearly. Great. Fantastic. Okay.
Very good.
To be continued.
Right, very exciting.
Baruch
yes.
Hashem.
Okay.
Cool, too.
Take care. Have a wonderful week.
Same to you.
Bye-bye.